Students, faculty, and Starkville community members took part in the inaugural walk on a new track behind the Sanderson Center. I'll tell you all about it coming up on Take 30 News. The Residence Hall Association hosted the second annual Haunted Horse Park during Halloween week. Find out how MSU students and Starkville residents felt about it coming up on Take 30 News.
Coming up on Take 30 Sports, you'll find out who won the 2013 Egg Bowl that was played in Starkville on Thanksgiving night.
Your news, keeping our state informed. Broadcasting from the home of the Bulldogs. Now, from the University Television Studios of Mississippi State University, this is Take 30 News.
MSU's Residence Hall Association hosted their second annual Haunted Horse Park. Find out how much preparation took place and how students reacted to the scare. Welcome to Take 30 News. I'm Juliana Salyer.
And I'm Melissa Martin. Mississippi State University hosted a trashing show last month that consists of only wearing fashion made out of trash. We have the details. The Fast and Furious star Paul Walker passed away last week. But first, our top story.
A senior at Mississippi State University who co-founded a literary magazine at MSU has been named a Rhodes Scholar. An English and philosophy major was one of 32 people in the United States who will enter Oxford University next October. Donald Brown, also known as Field, was selected from 857 applicants to receive the Rhodes Scholarship. The scholarship provides all expenses for 2 or 3 years of study at the University of England. Brown is a native of Vicksburg, Mississippi, and is 22 years of age. His response to the scholarship was, quote, "It's still surreal right now." Brown is the second Rhodes Scholar from Mississippi State University.
In Massachusetts, icy roads sent many to the hospital on Sunday morning. Freezing rain is said to have caused 65 cars and 3 tractor trailers to pile up on Interstate 290. The pileup in Worcester happened around 7 a.m., sending 40 people to the hospital, 2 of which have been reported to be in serious condition. The National Weather Service issued a freezing rain advisory for the area until 11 a.m. that morning. A spokesperson for the Department of Transportation reported that the roads were treated, but quickly went from bad to worse.
Investigators are anticipating an update on the Newtown school shooting that occurred about a year ago. During the massacre, 20 children and 6 women were shot and killed inside the Sandy Hook Elementary School. The state's lead investigator, attorney Stephen Sadinsky III, plans on giving a full report on what happened and will answer questions about the gunman and what the police have learned. The December 14th shooting plunged the small New England community into mourning and elevated gun safety to the top of the agenda for President Barack Obama.
Many eyebrows were raised as students walked through the drill field and noticed red tape covering some students' mouths. Fred Wilson has more on this story.
At Mississippi State University made a powerful statement without saying a word. October 15th was named the Pro-Life Day of Silent Solitary to pay homage to aborted babies.
Yes.
The oxymoron loud silence was taken literally because it was definitely moving. The reason for the silence was to be a metaphorical representation of how these unborn children were forced into silence. So this organization chose to give a whole 24 hours of complete silence, starting from the time they put the red life tape over their mouth. Since they were located in the middle of the drill field, many students looked in confusion as they passed by.
I feel that the silent movement on campus is a very positive movement to start because it honors all of the kids and the children who didn't have a chance to speak or a chance to live life to the fullest.
Very good program. I like the way they came out and protested. It should be more publicized.
With the tape over their mouth and the vow of silence, one might ask, how can you understand what was going on and how were they able to deliver the message silently?
Due to the nature of this protest, the representatives could not make a statement, but if a student was walking by, they received a pamphlet giving more information about the topic.
Research has shown that since January 22, 1973, every day over 4,000 babies have been terminated, meaning over 46 million babies have never seen the light of day. This protest is a small step towards bringing awareness to this issue. From Take 30 News, I'm Fred Wilson.
On the following day, participants were able to speak again and explain to others about their experiences.
Paul Walker, one of the stars from The Fast and Furious, died in a fatal car accident Saturday, November 30th in Southern California. Walker was in attendance of his charity event, Reach Out Worldwide, when he and a few friends went out to enjoy a friend's 2005 Porsche Carrera GT. However, the friend crashed into a tree and the car became engulfed in flames. Authorities found donut marks and burned rubber marks near the crash site, but there is no clear evidence yet that the marks were related. Both Walker and the driver were pronounced dead at the scene. Don't go away. When we come back, Chris Cameron will get you caught up on MSU's overtime win during the 110th Egg Bowl.
Who would you leave behind? If you're struggling with suicidal thoughts, call the National Suicide Hotline.
In high school, you got away with it. But now, at Mississippi State, do the right thing. Obey the honor code.
The rainforest is home to nearly 2/3 of animal species, and almost half the medicines that we use come from rainforests. But by 2060, nearly all of our rainforests will be gone. So how do we stop it? One way is to recycle. At home, at work, at school. Recycle paper, cans, bottles, and more. Also, save energy by using cold water in the washing machine. Keep your car tuned up and carpool or use public transportation. And finally, spread the word to everyone you know about ways you can save our rainforests.
So Chris, what do you have for me in sports today?
Well, I'm really excited to get everybody caught up on MSU's overtime win Thanksgiving Day on the Egg Bowl and much more as far as basketball and women's basketball as well, right after this. Welcome to Take 30 News. I'm Chris Cameron. The men's basketball team was victorious this past Sunday in a thrilling overtime play versus the Ramblers of Loyola. The final score, 65-64, was well-fought victory for the Bulldogs. During the contest, the score was tied 13 times and the lead changed over 15 times. The Maroon and White hit 46.8% from the field and had a season low of only 9 turnovers. Junior Rockwez Johnson earned his first double-double of the season and also a career high of 20 points. The matchup between both teams was to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Game of Change. The original matchup was in 1963 during the NCAA tournament and was the first time MSU played an athletic competition against a segregated team. Last year, the teams played in Chicago and this year in Starkville. This is the first time MSU has won against Loyola. Next up for the Bulldogs is TCU this Thursday at the Humphrey Coliseum. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. The Lady Bulldogs went to Naples, Florida for the first annual Gulf Coast Showcase tournament. Maroon and White started off great, defeating Grand Canyon 71-62. Next up, the Bulldogs took down James Madison to advance to the championship game. MSU fought hard against Middle Tennessee, but came up short. The Bulldogs were defeated 62-48. Next up for the ladies, we'll take on LA Lafayette Wednesday, December 4th at Humphrey Coliseum. The Mississippi State Bulldogs hosted their in-state rival Ole Miss Thanksgiving night during the 110th Egg Bowl. Our own Caleb McNear has more.
Both all-SEC linemen Gabe Jackson and running back Ladarius Perkins were honored along with the rest of the senior class one last time before kickoff. The Rebels and Dogs met for the 110th Egg Bowl on a cold, foggy night at Scott Field. A key play was in the first half when Bo Wallace's pass was picked off by seniors free safety Nico Whitley. The Dogs couldn't get any points out of the turnover. Andrew Ritter missed a field goal in the first quarter. That kept the score tied at 0. Ole Miss's second turnover would come in the second quarter when linebacker Richie Brown picked off a deflected pass, but he fumbled the ball, and Ole Miss wide receiver Laquan Treadwell would recover it. The Bulldogs' stingy defense would add another interception from junior corner Justin Cox, picked off Bo Wallace for the third time in the first half. This would light a spark in the MSU offense. True freshman Damian Williams would be able to move the ball on the ground, getting them in the scoring position. Then Josh Robinson scored from 2 yards out to give Mississippi State the lead 7-0. However, the Rebels did respond by blocking a punt and recovering it in the end zone for a touchdown to tie the game at 7-7 with a few seconds left to go in the first half. The Rebels were able to get a field goal from Andrew Ritter on the first drive of the second half. On the following series, Ole Miss was able to get an interception by free safety Cody Pruitt, and it gave the Rebels good field position. That's when Coach Mullen elected to put in Dak Prescott. The sophomore quarterback was cleared by doctors earlier that day to play. Prescott would lead the Bulldogs down the field to tie the game at 10 apiece. MSU got a final chance to win the game in regulation after Dak led the team to another clutch drive, but the kick was wide right, and the game would then head into overtime. Ole Miss won the toss and went on defense first, but the Bulldogs were able to move the ball and score on a 2-yard touchdown by quarterback Dak Prescott.
I just told him, I said, I want to just let me run it. It's 2 yards. I can get it. I said, I promise you I can get it. I'm going to just follow these big guys. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And he believed me, he trusted me.
Ole Miss moved the ball during their first possession of overtime, but on a 1st and goal, when it looked like Bo Wallace would walk in the end zone to tie the game up, senior safety Nico Whitley made the play to win. He stripped the ball from Wallace, and Jamerson Love recovered it in the end zone to give Mississippi State the 2013 Egg Bowl trophy.
Yeah, every one of the seniors had their part in getting this done, had their part in this history. Tyler Russell didn't get to play tonight, had his part. To Nico Whitley, everybody, that senior class.
Head coach Dan Mullen talked about Nico and how important he is to him and this team.
He's going to walk into the end zone and send it to another overtime. Nico Whitley makes the game-winning play again. And here's a young guy that's come here, done an unbelievable job as a leader for us, and is graduating with a master's degree. He's already has his undergraduate degree. This spring he leaves here with a master's degree. A very special career.
For Take 30 Sports, I'm Caleb McNair.
The Bulldogs finished their regular season at 6-6, and they will head to their 4th consecutive bowl game. For more information on tickets, visit hailstate.com. That's all for Take 30 Sports. Coming up next, James Lowe has information on how the color red can help you knock off a few pounds.
Since 1878, Mississippi State has remained a beautiful and clean campus. Do what I do. Do your part to keep this campus classy and clean.
Procrastination is the destruction of most, if not all, college students. By the time we reach college, we are all experts at avoiding the inevitable. Avoiding homework to get more leisure time sounds like a good idea until the night before when we have to cram. You can avoid becoming a victim to procrastination by assessing the task at hand, scheduling times to work on it, and eliminating distractions.
Don't put off your homework. Do it now.
good. She's finally out.
Be careful who you trust. For more information, go to www.women's.
Welcome back to Tape 30 News. I'm James Lowe with your health and wellness. AIDS and HIV cases have been on the rise in many underdeveloped countries, but scientists have made a lot of ground in trying to find a cure. 2013 marks the first year in which a child and 2 adults were cured of HIV after treatment. However, the current economic status means that many funds will be withheld from finding more research on the cure. According to CNN, the National Institutes of Health will lose $229 million in AIDS research for 2014. A new study suggests that the color red could help you lose weight. The study was published in the journal Appetite, and it indicated that the color red actually has an effect on the amount people will consume. To test out this hypothesis, researchers placed food and hand cream on red, white, and blue plates. The results showed that people consumed a greater amount of food from the blue and white plates, and participants used over half as much hand cream from the red plates. Researchers hope to be able to apply this study to people who have eating disorders, but they do not insist that people go out and buy red plates until more studies are conducted. MSU now has a new way for their students in the Starkville community to exercise without hitting the gym. A new walking and running track behind the Sanderson Center opened on Tuesday, October 15th, and many MSU students, faculty, and members of the Starkville community were there, excited to try out the new addition to the campus. The new track is a 1-mile loop around Chadwick Lake, and it features brick accents every 10th of a mile. The new pathway also has areas to rest and take in the famous MSU view. Students and staff alike are excited to have access to the new walking and running route.
Now students are going to be able to look at it and see a way to get involved, a way to socially interact, a way to exercise. So it's now a community. Not only is the lake beautiful, reflecting off Bryan Building and all that good stuff, but now it's going to be an area for students to gather and exercise.
After the ribbon cutting, all attendees were invited to participate in the inaugural lap. The first 100 participants to finish the mile received a free pumpkin. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and the MSU Longest Health Center both contributed in making the new track a reality. Which is better, bottled or tap? An analysis done by the Natural Resources Defense Council in San Francisco found not only does bottled water cost more, but it isn't any safer or more pure than what comes out the faucet. Because of increased criticism on bottled water, restaurants, hotels, markets, and other areas in California have banned the purchase of distribution of it. While large public water supplies are tested for contaminants several times a day, the FDA requires bottling companies to only be tested weekly and sometimes annually. Don't go away. When we come back, Gabrielle Thomas will catch you up on all the latest in entertainment news.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that paper. Young Teresa's class. Well, no, I'm not going to do it.
Who would you leave behind? If you're struggling with suicidal thoughts, call the National Suicide Hotline.
Some people think they don't have to obey the rules. But when it comes to the rules here at Mississippi State, you better take notice. Don't think you're above the law, or they'll find you you could find yourself on the outside looking in.
Ring response to you.
Welcome back to Take 30 News. I'm Gabrielle Thomas. The MSU Architecture Department and the Fashion Board held their 5th annual Trashion Show on November the 6th. Models strutted down the Guys Hall runway wearing Coke cans, coffee filters, trash bags, and even old keys. The annual Trashion Show is a runway production that is a collaborative effort between Mississippi State's chapter of the National Organization of Minority Architecture Students, also known as NOMAS, and MSU's Trashion Board. The show celebrities turning trash and recycled materials into fashion. The students designed and created the outfits all on their own, with makeup and hair done by the Fashion Board volunteers. The show gives architecture students a chance to put what they are learning into practice by making unique runways-ready outfits. NOMAS also held their annual Junk to Funk sale prior to the Trashion Show, where they sold different items and created from repurposed materials. All the proceeds were split between the craft designers and MSU's NOMAS chapter. Glee fans, also known as Gleeks, are given the opportunity to directly affect the 100th episode of the hit musical series. Fox has started an online movement called Gleeks, choice that gives fans the opportunity to vote for songs to be featured on the 100th episode. Fans are allowed to vote for 10 songs at a time and have the option to vote as many times as they want to. The episode will not air until March the 18th of next year, but the vote is starting to now to give Ryan Murphy and company to create a story surrounding the songs. The hit animation TV series Family Guy has lost a member, and fans have started a petition in hopes of bringing him back. Brian Griffin, the family dog, was run over by a car in Sunday's night's episode. Brian has appeared in every show for 11 seasons. The petition Bring Brian Back gained media attention after being signed by more than 30,000 people in less than 36 hours. Creator Seth MacFarlane calls it a fun way to shake things up, and this proves to be a little more than what fans can bear. Petition creator Aaron Thompson wrote, "They killed off the dog who has lived in our home for over 15 years. They killed America's dog." In response to the tragedy, the Griffin characters adopted a dog named Vinny, voiced by Sopranos actor Tony Sirico. What will MSU students and Starkville residents pay to be scared? Alyssa Harvey has the story.
MSU's Residence Hall Association hosted their second annual Haunted Horse Park on October 30th and 31st. The spooky affair charged $5 per person to enter, but all proceeds went to charity.
We always try to give it to Mississippi State students first, and then look at charities within the area, and then we also take some of it to put into our production for next year so that we can obviously make it bigger and better and do better things.
The Haunted Horse Park was run completely by housing staff volunteers, including the Director of Housing herself, Ann Bailey.
We're expecting you!
Volunteers worked for the entire week setting up the horse park, and even more of those volunteers spent over 4 hours prior to the event doing makeup and costuming for those throughout the maze.
It takes getting a lot of people behind this. It takes over 150 volunteers to pull something like this off each night. And then also a lot of big props, big scenes, new ideas, because we have to fill in the spaces and come up with new and creative ideas to keep people coming out.
The Haunted Horse Park brought in over 600 guests on its first night and over 1,000 people on Halloween night. People of all ages came out to the event, and it received mostly positive reviews.
I really enjoyed all of the different scenes that went on, and it was overall very scary.
It was pretty cool. There were parts of it that definitely got my heartbeat racing a little bit, but other than that, it wasn't too bad.
I don't necessarily think everybody might be most scared at it, but I think it's a good way to spend a weeknight, and you're giving $5 to charity, which is not a bad thing at all.
All of those involved were pleased with the turnout and hope to make it even bigger and better next year. Alyssa Harvey, Take 30 News.
RHA said that the event raised over $6,000 to benefit the MSU Student Relief Fund. After the break, find out how China plans to land on the moon. Stay tuned.
Procrastination is the destruction of most, if not all, college students. By the time we reach college, we are all experts at avoiding the inevitable. Avoiding homework to get more leisure time sounds like a good idea until the night before when we have to cram. You can avoid becoming a victim to procrastination by assessing the task at hand, scheduling times to work on it, and eliminating distractions.
Don't put off your homework. Do it now.
Some people think they don't have to obey the rules. But when it comes to the rules here at Mississippi State, you better take notice. Don't think you're above the law, or they'll find you. You could find yourself on the outside looking in.
Ring responsibly, MSU.
Welcome back to Take 30 News. China launched its first lunar probe early Monday morning. If the attempt is successful, China will join the ranks of the United States and the Soviet Union as the third nation to soft land on the moon. After landing, the spacecraft will release a 6-wheeled lunar explorer capable of digging up lunar samples and surveying the landscape with its 4 cameras. According to China's space program, the lunar rover will explore the moon's surface for at least 3 months.
The Monastery of the Dominican Nuns of Perpetual Rosary, a Catholic convent in New Jersey where nuns have called home for over 100 years, will be closing its doors. In the late 1970s, over 20 nuns resided in the convents, and now the number has diminished to only 7. The New York Times recently reported that in 1965, the U.S. had over 180,000 nuns, but this number has decreased to around 56,000 in 2012. Even with prices being cut, this holiday shopping season is off to a slow start. The National Retail Federation reported that holiday shoppers spent a total of 4% less this weekend than they did last year. However, the industry analysts estimated an approximate 2.3% increase in spending on Thanksgiving Day. Bill Martin, president of ShopperTrack, said, quote, "It's spreading the jam a bit thinner over a larger piece of bread." There was hope that this year's holiday shopping would help boost the economy.
Thanks for tuning in to Take 30 News. I'm Melissa Martin.
Don't forget to check out our Facebook page and Twitter account for the latest updates. That is all for this semester's edition of Take 30 News. I'm Juliana Salyer.